So I hope you enjoyed our conversation around brand strategy. And now thanks for joining our third session about consumer trends on Amazon and tips to stand out. But before we get started, I did want to do a quick round of introductions. I'll go first. My name is Megan Conahan. I'm the EVP at Direct Agents. I focus on revenue and e-commerce. I'll turn it over to Daniel.
How's it going? My name is Daniel Owen. I'm also EVP at Direct Agents, and I oversee our greater Amazon business as well as our technology units.
Awesome. So we have a lot of really great things to talk to you about today. As far as the agenda goes, we want to really hone in on some really big Amazon trends. So Amazon becoming the shopping destination for consumers, the rise of Prime membership, rising competition and costs. And then I'm going to turn it over to Daniel, and he's going to really talk about how brands can stand out in this post-COVID world. So I guess first and foremost, what we've been seeing is Amazon has become the go-to shopping destination for consumers. And it makes sense because during the pandemic, when everything shut down, Amazon was really a lifeline for these people, right? When everything was shut, people were turning to Amazon, not just to buy the things that you would normally think, maybe small electronics and headphones. They were going to Amazon for everything, for furniture, for apparel, for larger purchases. And they started to realize that it's actually a really great shopping experience, and they've started to go back. So you see even the chart on the right-hand side of the screen here, 50% of online purchases were starting in Amazon in 2019. So it's pre-pandemic. So we can only guess what it would be now. We're still waiting for those numbers to come out. And some interesting numbers by Wells Fargo, they recently just forecast that in 2021, the sales of shoes and apparel on Amazon are going to surpass $45 billion. And that's going to overtake both Target and Walmart. The other big trend that we're seeing is that Amazon Prime really continues to grow. It's estimated that in 2022, Amazon Prime is going to have 153 million members. And the reason that is so important and so substantial and why we're talking about it is that Prime members are more likely to start their shopping journey on Amazon than on other websites. So if you're a Prime member, 74% of those people will start their product searches on Amazon as compared to just 29% of non-Prime members starting their product searches on Amazon. And Prime members consistently spend more on Amazon. So you see the chart on the right as well. What you see is the black line on the bottom is the average monthly purchases for non-Prime members, and the blue line on top is the average monthly purchases for Prime members, substantially higher, 2 times higher. So Amazon really has a vested interest in how to get more Prime members on board because they realize those people will start their product searches on Amazon and they'll also spend more when shopping on Amazon. And they're doing a lot of things to do this. Most recently, one of the great things that was announced that I thought was really interesting was that Amazon's partnering with the NFL to be the exclusive provider or streaming provider of Thursday Night Football for the 2022 season, starting in 2022. So this is great for Amazon specifically, because what this means is if you're an NFL fan and you don't have Prime and you want to watch Thursday Night Football, there's only one place that you can get it, and that's Amazon Prime. And then once you're there, they know you're going to shop on Amazon, you're going to search on Amazon, and they're really hoping to steal market share away from especially competitors like Walmart. The other trend we've been seeing a lot of is really increased sales velocity, just overarching on Amazon, and especially as it relates to consumer confidence. I'm sure everybody's kind of seeing that uptick in consumer confidence right now. There's a recent trend or stat that came out that said 42% of consumers are now open to trying new things and new brands. So that's obviously massive, right? As more Americans get vaccinated, people are starting to feel more hopeful. There's less feelings of fatigue and frustration. And when people are feeling more hopeful, they want to spend more money, and they're planning for activities. They're planning for things like, concerts, out-of-home entertainment, family get-togethers, renovations, and then new outfits to wear to, not sit behind a desk in front of a Zoom screen all day. So that's why we're seeing really, really big growth on Amazon, and things like apparel and home and outdoor has been substantially growing. The other thing that we're really seeing is that brands selling on Amazon are really poised right now to outscale or outpace non-Amazon sellers. And one of the reasons that is because those almost 50% of people are willing to try new things, right? About 78% of Amazon searches are non-brand searches. That means people are coming to Amazon looking for specific products and they don't have a specific brand in mind. And 23% of people go to Amazon when they're looking for inspiration for things to do. So what you're able to do now is capture people who are interested, who don't have a brand in mind, who are looking to try new things, and you and your brand can be one of the first ones that show up. So I think that's a really, really interesting trend that we've been seeing, people increasingly engaging with some of our non-brand campaigns. And it's not just the non-brand that's really exciting on Amazon, it's also the brand growth that's happening on Amazon. So what we're starting to see is that many times our brands that we work with, their brand search volume is exceeding what it is on Google. So I have an example of one of our clients on the right-hand side. This is an apparel client that we work with on Amazon. And what we did is we plotted their 2019, their 2020, and their 2021 brand search volume. And what you see is 2019, 2020 are pretty much even up until late summer, early fall. And then 2020 really starts to pick up. Fast forward to 2021, massive jumps in branded search volume. So what is really interesting about this is we wanted to look at that and say, okay, let's write for just generic brand growth, brand building initiatives they did. And what we saw is year over year on Google, their brand search volume increased by 70%. Year over year on Amazon, their brand volume search increased by 270%. So now they're getting more searches on Amazon than they are on Google. So people, again, aren't just going to Amazon to look for inspiration, to search for non-brands. They're actually searching for your brand more often on Amazon now. The other trend that we're seeing in this post-pandemic shopping behavior is what people want, right? I think what has happened in the last year, people have really pivoted what they expect from retailers between 2019 and 2021. So there was a recent study done that asked consumers, what do you want from this post-pandemic era from online retailers? What are you expecting to see from them? And what the interesting part is, I have obviously all the results here, but the top 4 must-have things were offers free shipping, delivers fast, great return policy, and great reviews. Those are 4 things that Amazon is known for. So consumers are now saying, hey, this is what I expect. This is a must-have for me, which is why they're increasingly turning to Amazon. And if you have to be honest with yourself, I don't think many brands can say that their .com delivers the same type of shopping experience. So as consumers expect new things, and this is the new expectation, the new level of service that consumers are expecting, this is where brands are really going to have to turn to continue to engage with consumers on Amazon. And then obviously, as consumers tend to go to Amazon, brands are obviously going to follow suit. So we're finding brands are increasingly following consumers to Amazon. So about a recent study by Feed Advisor found 48% of brands not currently selling on Amazon said they're inclined to start selling on Amazon, and that's up from 26% in 2019. So more brands are now interested in selling on Amazon to obviously reach the consumers who are increasingly flocking to Amazon. And at the end of 2020, marketplace advertising represented about 12% of total digital ad spend. That's 38% growth. And then most recently, there was just a stat that was released that Amazon actually represents 10% of all digital advertising spend and growing. And it's, again, very easy to see why digital dollars are going there. On average, most brands are seeing a 4x return on Amazon, and half of brands or more are saying they're seeing at least a 7x return on Amazon. So as more brands continue to move to Amazon, these numbers are going to change because what we're already seeing is an increase in CPCs as there's increase in competition. So it is really important for brands now to get a little bit more sophisticated and stand out. So I'm going to turn it over to Daniel, and he's going to talk about his tips for standing out on Amazon.
Cool, thanks. All right, yeah, so as Megan mentioned, we do expect CPCs to be going up. The good news, however, is here we're tracking CPC across Google, Facebook, as well as Amazon over time, right? So a lot of this was actually during COVID and breaking into this year as well. What you're seeing here, though, is Amazon CPCs overall in aggregate have remained pretty much steady. We do expect it to go up as increasing competition and everything else rises with Amazon. But the good thing is if you're there now, right, and those gains that you saw that Megan presented, they're still achievable today. So it, really, behooves the emphasis on getting onto Amazon, using ads to really stand out, and not just sponsored brand and sponsored product ads, but let's move on to the next page. And here, what you see is a lot of video type assets, and that's really what Amazon is starting to push big time. Videos, ads in their sponsored brand units, as well as in other areas. But this particular will stick to videos ads in sponsored brand units, which for they actually offer a lot of different advantages. One is that you really get to take up the entire row, right? And if you've ever done like paid search on Google or SEO, it's all about real estate. And currently, Amazon will give you that entire row on both desktop and mobile. And it allows you to really then push your brand image, your brand messaging, and really start pushing outside of the norm and standing out, right? It's one true way. And what we're actually seeing from performance results is that they actually do above average. They sometimes do better than sponsored brands. They can keep up with sponsored products on some cases, but overall, that's actually really good performance when you're actually pushing more than just direct response. So this is one area that we really are putting an emphasis on at this moment. Making sure that you have creatives ready, our clients have video type assets ready for all different types of products and different types of category products, and really using this as a primary medium to stand out, in the first place, let's say. We'll move on, of course, to other areas. So with standing out additionally is to really, you have to understand the market first. All right, so you can either try to, we have some technology on our end that really helps us quantify the market with our share of voice technology, but you can also try to use Amazon impression share reports as one means. Might be, require you to take a little bit more analytical approach to it by trying to amass all the information, but it's still doable, I think. And once you determine areas that are either underrepresented by different types of categories, or you're seeing really high ROAS, those are areas to definitely go after at this point. To really push advertising budgets and really stand out, given the low CPCs compared to other channels that we're seeing on Amazon. One thing we're also seeing is that branded search volume for many categories are starting to outweigh non-branded search volume on Amazon. So that's pretty interesting, right? What that tells us, though, is that consumers are now not just searching for, let's say like I don't know, stereo or something like that, something very generic. They're actually typing in, Bose two-way stereo and more specific terms, right, that have branded search term in them. And then it's not necessarily that they're only buying Bose, but the fact is that they're starting with a product and a brand that they know. So what that means is first, we have to use non-brand to win over brand searches, right? That's a big thing. The battle of non-brand keywords is ever more important today. And then, of course, understanding how to also target ASINs, different competitor ASINs. It's all about competitive targeting at this point, because you have to then turn those types of consumers into branded searches where they look for your product first and foremost down the line. And these are just some of the different trends. But let's move on. And what else can you do to kind of push your brand on Amazon? How else do you stand out from the fold? And one thing that we're seeing is Amazon itself is ever more becoming a branding destination, right? That's all their creative units, all the different types of social engagements that they're pushing, are really trying to allow brands to establish themselves, push their message, and for a advertiser or a seller, it really puts an emphasis on building a brand, not just off Amazon and where we traditionally think about it, but using Amazon as a primary destination to build your brand as well. I think a lot of consumers in previous years, we've already pushed out the fact that more than 50% start their searches on Amazon. And if consumers are all starting their searches there, they're in the primary mindset to be shopping. And that's where the majority of the time they're only going to be. So it creates the focus of building a brand on Amazon to be even more important. And the good thing is Amazon is creating a lot of different types of mediums for you, for a seller, I should say, to do that, where you're now able to promote different types of lifestyle messaging that you couldn't previously do, brand messaging, product messaging. Here we have a couple of different examples. There's Amazon Posts, which you can do through the AMS platform. Anyone can do that as long as they are brand registered. You can also create the storefront, same thing, you need brand registry. These are just 2 starting points. As we go from there, there's a lot of additional types of avenues that brands can use today. We're also showing things like shop the look. There's also editorials. You can always build rich A+ content on your product detail pages. It's very important, of course, to make sure that you have very high resolution images, that they really show all, different types of angles of the product, show different virtues of the product. Whatever you can portray in high quality imaging helps to build trust, right? And that's one thing Megan showed, is that we really need to be able to convey product trust today and brand trust. And a product that obviously has better reviews, but also has better A+ content, better imaging, is all going to help gain the confidence of the consumer to buy your product. From there, there's also additional things like Amazon live streams, which you can either pay Amazon to do, or you can actually host a live stream yourself and create one. There's just different types of methods of doing it, but it's really like a QVC on Amazon. And it's still in its infancy, I would say. Typically, we're seeing about 200 to 300 people per live stream joining each live stream. We do expect this to grow over time. And one thing is because Amazon is right now just kind of subtly pushing their live streams, we do think it's going to be something that becomes a lot more mainstream, right? And it is a primary method that a lot of other countries use, especially China, to push a lot of different products. And when you're going to live streams, one thing you have to talk about is Amazon influencers. And that's a huge additional area that Amazon is rolling out and growing. It did come off their affiliate program, but today it's, if you're an influencer, typically they're looking for people with about 20,000 plus followers through their different types of social media. But you can actually engage with and try to seek out Amazon influencers to push your product, and they will have their own storefront on Amazon. They'll have different area. It works the best, I think, for clothing and apparel industries, because that's where you can see here in the far leftmost screenshot, you can see kind of the Amazon influencer post on the bottom. And it really, at least we see it the most around apparel and clothing and accessories in those categories. But they can start posting different things about different type of clothes that they're wearing, and then actually be able to purchase it directly on Amazon. So Amazon is of course trying to push big into the apparel category, and we can just see these huge strides that they're making. Today, still in their infancy, which is great if you're an early adopter brand and you want to stand out. But as Amazon grows, and as we continue down this path to ever growing Amazon dominance, it's only going to get bigger. So start today, and it's only going to help stand out more and more in the future. And lastly, of course, there's Amazon remarketing ads based off of whoever visits your product detail page or your competitor ASINs. Just continuously finding them and showing them different types of remarketing ads. That always builds additional brand trust, brand recognition, brand recall. We see much higher conversion rates with brands that do engage with the marketing ads on Amazon. Okay, on that page. Standing out even more with metric-driven SEO. So this is now, we're talking more about the organic presence of a seller. And not using ads or any of the other types of medium. But there's a lot of ways to actually improve your product ranking itself. Amazon rankings are driven first and foremost by sales velocity, but you can't always impact sales velocity, right? It's an indirect path. But what we can do, of course, is understand what keywords we are currently ranking for, and what keywords sell our product the best, right, or sell them the most. What are the most relevant keywords that are going to move inventory? And we like to call this metric-driven SEO because it's a big feedback loop. So basically understanding what keywords work, monitoring those keywords, and optimizing your product detail pages for those keywords to see if you start ranking, right? Title testing, content, all the areas that we can impact. Backend keywords are another one. And that's without any kind of paid advertising. But you can also of course use sponsored product ads, right? We do recommend using manual keyword sponsored product ads to drive and try to help boost the sales velocity. In the meantime, of course, always kind of monitoring your organic rank, and then monitoring the tests, the titles, the keywords that you're using, and then using the feedback loop of monitoring and creating optimizations to further increase your rankings on Amazon organically. Okay, and this is a little bit more indirect of what's just going on, but if you've been ordering products, you may already have noticed that there's starting to become a container shortage, and the backlog for container shipping, anywhere from 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, sometimes we're even hearing 7 months to get products. That is a really long lead time, and I think if you want to stand out, let's say later this summer, we have to start thinking about that now, right? Making sure that we get the product in hand, because there is going to be an explosion of e-commerce as the vaccines roll out, as consumer spending kind of goes back to norm. We are going to see, I think, a really big Q3, Q4 like we've never seen before. What that also means is that global trade and shipping of products is going to be at a peak, and at a time when containers are at a at a minimum where you can't really get that at a scarcity. We really have to make sure that we plan for our lead times today. And then, of course, FBA still is ever a advantage over anyone that uses FBM. You did see Megan, estimate about 150 million. I think today we're seeing about 120 million Prime members. So that is, or I should say 150 today, 120 million households is what we're seeing. So that, is all FBA. And if you're on FBM only, there's going to be a pretty big advantage to sellers that are on FBA. And those are just 2 additional ways of making sure that we stand out, in Q2, Q3, Q4 as we go on. So yeah, that's all that I have for you guys today. Want to thank you guys for joining, and Megan.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us today for our chat about Amazon tips and how to stand out. But I do want to pass it over to our Dinesh Boas, one of our co-founders, for our 4th and final session. Thank you again.